Okay, with another thing of doing things with clay. So I'm gonna utilize these fancy little letters on my T-ball here that has been covered with white slip with a little bit of black slip applied to it. Been bisque fired. And I'm going to put some lettering on here and then come back in and do some underglaze application to the top of it for, well, giggles. These letters I got from that fancy place a lot of people go to on occasion for art supplies. Yeah, the Mickles place there. I used them once on another project that I did for an urn for spelling out, and it worked great as a resist. So right now I'm going to be making these say things like, well, this particular one is going to be one of my favorite sayings of Mr. Winnie the Pooh. This one is going to be tut tut looks like rain. Because, you know, what else do you do when it's raining? You can drink. All right, have a nice little tea in a tea bowl on a rainy day. What I have found for the application of these vinyl stickers that works well for me is a simple little tool. This little tool right here. It's a clay tool. A lot of us end up with, out of those packs of beginner clay tools, this one has been with me for quite a while. It has a double end to it, but really anything that, you know, allows you to hold the sticker in place on one end, and then you can tut tut, looks like rain. Then you can put it in the spot where you would like it, and it seems to work. Like I say, it works well for me. Probably because I have giant fingers sometimes that don't always want to do what I want them to do when working with small stuff. So I can easily place it down, move it around, and then I just use my finger to press down the letter, making it fit into the spot. And with these particular vinyl stickers, when you get something like an O, I find that this little tool is also great for popping out those center points. So we're gonna sit here and pop these on, which I have no idea how long it's gonna take me, because this is, dropped it in there. Need to get that guy out. Don't want him to stick inside there. It happens. Oh, the horrors, the curses of working. Now let's try and put this one in where I want it to go. There we go, like that. Get a little wonkiness to it. This is going to be, hopefully it will work. Well, actually I know it will work. It makes a nice resist. So after I apply the underglaze, I can remove these and they will leave just the white of this slip showing through the underglaze, making it have a nice contrast. Let's see, we'll put this one here. My plan for these particular pieces is to put them, start back in on some soda firing, which is why I used this black slip. The soda fire and salt fires with this particular slip gives a really great, had a little pop there, really great aspect of turning metallic The slip is one I have from when I used to do lots of cone 6 work. It was by a company that has gone out of business now. It was just leftover, and it's called Black Raven. Sad to say, Stone Mountain Clay, which produced Black Raven clay, went out of business. So once I'm out of this lovely bucket of Black Raven slip, I will be very sad. So I'll have to find another black slip that might do something similar. Like I say, this black slip, when it is applied and reacts very well with soda and salt at cone 10, it gets almost a metallic aspect to it. I'm not sure what. Looks like, oh yeah, now we go to the R's. And very metallic, very, very beautiful metallic sheen. So hopefully, you know, I'll find another slip before I run out. But since I have almost like, you know, a 3-gallon bucket of it, and I only use it for line work, really, I may not have to worry about it for a few years. But that's one of the prices that happens in ceramics, is that, well, companies go out of business. Clay bodies, of course, change. If you've been doing this long enough, you know that the materials that get picked by a company, we're not the first line that they do all these mines for. We're second or third down on the list, so we kind of use and take what is not being used by the other companies, the more industrial type companies that they really do all the mining for. So we kind of got to take what we can get. So if you've ever experienced, you know, changes in how your clay reacts with your glazes, it is most likely because there was a change in the material. Whether it was a mesh change or they had to actually find another flux or silica source. And then you end up going, what happened? Which is why in pottery, the important thing is to always test, test, test. Every time you get a new box of clay, go ahead and do a quick little test. Every time you get a new glaze or you start making new glazes with your materials, go ahead and do a quick little test. Doesn't take long. Yes, I know it's annoying because, hey, we sometimes get ourselves under those great, grand, glorious time constraints, and we don't always test, and then, well, then we suffer. And nobody really likes that particular type of suffering because it costs us money. But if you test it, you know, just do a test. If you got a little test kiln, that's always great. You can build a small one for usually pretty cheap, or, you know, if one of your friends or local college tests that, you know, fires on a regular basis at the temperature you want to fire, throw it in there. Or if you have your stuff already set up and you were going to be running another firing anyways at that temperature, and you got a new box of clay, test it. Don't just assume what you're getting is exactly the same as you ordered the day before, because it might not be. So I'm going to decide. I think I'm going to use a little purple this time to start. And I've started using and trying to figure out ways of utilizing other things. I mean, yes, I brush on a lot of things, but I have found through doing some other test tiles, like a little frog here, that and my crow here, that to get this really interesting texture, I can use this. Now, if you do fire a lot and you fire your own stuff, you might be very familiar with what this is. It is the foam that comes out of your cone box. Yes, this stuff makes a great little sponge for doing an application, in this case, underglaze. Because, and for me, it starts to give a texture that I personally am kind of going for. I like layers on my stuff. I like to layer things up. And so right now, I'm just gonna do some layering here. And this is the first set here. So it's just gonna dab on. And then if I don't, if I think I got a little too much there, or want to add a little more texture to it, and come back with one that's dry and pick some of it up. Works really well on bisqueware and, of course, greenware, if that's what you're working on. I do a lot of my underglazing on greenware too. So this allows me to do both of those. Gives me an ability to kind of create textures. I still do spray a lot of my underglazes, but this is just another tool in the toolbox that I like to use, that I've started to experiment with and use now, to try and get a more layered appearance. As you can see, I just kind of randomly pop it on there. I'll let it dry. That's kind of what I'll do, and then I'll come back with another color. Since I really love color theory and the way colors work, I'll probably break out and utilize purple's complementary color, because it's a good sound right there. Because why not? Because who doesn't love pops of color on things? Now, this particular, for those of you who do not know your color theory, you are going to want to understand that yellow is purple's complementary color, or complement color. That comes from the fact that purple is made from red and blue. Yes, I probably should say violet is made from red and blue. Purple is made from red, blue with the addition of white. So by doing that, I can get these nice purples and pops of color on there. For those who live in the South, no, I'm not using these colors because of that particular team. Mostly because I don't watch sports ball. It's just not what I do. So I'll come through, and I'll be working this in here, and I will eventually layers, building up layers of color that, truthfully, after I'm going to bisque fire it again, will most likely end up getting sanded back through. It's a process I do enjoy. So this is what I like to do on this particular piece. We're gonna have a little fun here, as they like to say. Bob Ross says, why don't we get a little crazy in here, I say. So I'm gonna pop these layers in. These colors will work, and this is not just the only color I said I'll be doing. I'll actually be coming back through and probably putting on, I don't know, maybe you'll throw in some blues, maybe I'll put in some reds and some oranges. Of course, I'm going to use blue. I definitely have to use orange. Because blue and orange just seem to work well together because they are complements. By the way, I don't know if anybody else has to work on their gag reflex when they're working with that yellow underglaze from Amico. But whoo, take the lid off that thing and it'll make you, well, as we can say, it'll gag a maggot, right? And that's just stuff breaking down. That's bacteria eating up stuff, going num 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 nums. Most likely, if I had to guess as to why, it's probably feeding upon a something probably like gum arabic, a natural used material to make things a little easier to brush in our realm of ceramics. So I would probably say that might be the culprit. Or maybe I just have a lot of dead skin cells in there from something. I don't know. Anyways, nothing really to concern too much about there, other than it stinks. Starting to get that nice look to it. Look at that. Look at that up there. Layers. A little bit of, well, I guess I'm putting a little stank on it, even though I'm not talking about that yellow stank. Whoa, that yellow. Be stinky. Stinky, stinky. The rest of them, not too bad. Yellow and the red. The red's got a good little smell to it on occasion too. Let's see. Let's break out a little bit of flame orange. Now, I love the velvet underglazes. They just, I fired a cone 10. I fire gas, cone 10. And they just work. Now, the only ones that I have some issues with on occasion at firing up to 10 is going to be the purple. My purple will burn out. So I will sometimes actually reapply and then maybe refire to a lower temp if I've left it open. But the purple will pop. And sometimes it just burns out to a blue, but it still works. It still gives a nice coloration, still a nice look to it. So come in here. And like I say, I'm not, when I do this, I'm trying to create this multiple layer sense of depth here. It's a fun process, and hopefully it's going to be something that starts to separate my work a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. But it is a fun little thing. Try to make sure I cover up all the white, because I will probably come back through and sand down that white afterwards. We'll see. Like I said, this is still, it's still a process of techniques that I am refining. I have not finished up this. It's something I really just started to pick up. Pick this technique up, or the sponging aspect technique up. Did a couple of, it was a couple of weeks ago actually. When I went and did a nice little day at the Children's Museum as a storyteller. Can you believe it? They brought me up and said, "Hey, you can be a storyteller." I was a storyteller. I was like, "Yay, storytelling time. What am I going to do?" And so I brought those little tiles and I started working on them. And here's one of the ones again, a little clay tile. Had them hanging around, figured what could I do. So I started making these little crow tiles. The reason for the crow was they just happened to be there. Because, when you're driving 2.5 hours one way, you see a lot of crows. the crows are generally looking at you going, what you doing? As they're trying to sit by the side of the road and eat whatever happens to be hanging out there. So it was, you know, one of those type deals. That was kind of where I got the inspiration for doing that little tile. And I had these materials, and the idea came to me one evening while I was trying to figure out what to do, and figured since I'm going up there, I'll do some drawing, I'll create some creatures, and I'll try a few new techniques that been bouncing around in the brain while I looked at my work. So, as you can see, right now I'm starting to add in a little bit of teal blue over the top. Yeah, it's gonna be loud. That's the purpose of this piece, to be loud, to be very visually loud and aggressive. I don't know, there's something about these, you know, I just have always loved that peeling away appearance of things, of paints, old paints. And or even not just that, but what you get when you hold up and you look at a pair of shirts or pants or that a painter uses, and they just keep slapping their paints and onto their pants, and you end up with this just layers upon layers of stories, you know, different houses that were painted or different years that this paint went through. You know, these walls were painted. By the way, I just took the top off of the red and I had to stop for a second and catch my breath. Whew. Red, yellow, I don't know. They never tell you what they put in these things, but man, whatever they're putting in them, it's stinky. But they just work so well, and they're so pretty that you kind of just, well, you can kind of just deal with it, I guess. At least that's what I tell myself. I'm like, oh, it's the smell. And then I'm like, but man, it's so pretty. So pretty after firing, so I'm sure I could probably put something in there, tea tree oil or peppermint or whatever, I don't know, to make the bacteria unhappy and not want to feed on whatever is there. But why would I do that? You know what? I totally forgot to think about and start addressing the bottom here. So let's put down a layer of red. Now, why would I want to sit here and address the bottom? You know, why not? Truthfully, I mean, it's a part of the cup, right? So let's put some color on the bottom. It doesn't take long, and it's just another little area where you can kind of leave your mark, you know. So a lot of times people will be addressing the foot, and I do address my foot. I mean, I make all kinds of colors on the foot, right? I'll sand that foot, and it'll be like a baby's butt there, and just super smooth, and which feels great in the hand, but you know, not much to look at. So yeah, come in here and you can kind of put a little dab of do or two on there to and still give me a reason to Dab up the rest of it there. Oh, let's go back. Let's bring out a little bit more flame orange here. And you notice I don't really dip. I try not to dip my piece into the container itself. I can avoid it because I don't want to lose my sponge in the container. It'll get eaten by the, I mean, if you could smell them, it'd get eaten by those bacteria there. And I don't want that to happen. I want to keep my container as much as I possibly can. But no, I just find it easier to dip it in here, keep my fingers out as much as possible. Pour just a little bit as I need it. Now I do have a small bucket underneath my table that I keep taking these in, give them a little rinse, get the excess out, squeeze them, and then I keep a towel next to it that allows me to squeeze out any extra moisture. I gotta do a couple more firings so I can get the rest of, you know, like a whole bunch more of these fancy little connectors there, just to make life a little easier. Oh, the yellow's open again. The smell. Oh, the smell. Yeah, that's the nice part, is I can just lightly touch it and put some, you know, I can touch it and just leave a little bit of a mark, or I can go and leave a big mark. You know, it just depends on what am I trying to accomplish in that particular spot at that particular time. You know, I guess it's kind of nice to add those things in there. And set that little bad boy down and close up the yellow again. And now I can take this and I can show you what it looks like. Going all the way around. Like I say, it's pretty loud at the moment. I'm gonna make it be a little less loud, probably after firing. A little sanding, maybe another little application. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel off these letters, and you can start to see why I did it. Get that bright white, that bright porcelain white popping out underneath things. Makes it really be almost like stencil drawing that you would see on a wall. That's why I like that white. I think it will work very, very well. I mean, it worked really exceptionally well on the urns I had to do. The color just really popped. This is kind of nice. Got that little black underneath that S there. Let me just bring this over here so you guys can watch me pop them off. One at a time. Boom. 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 So, here we go. This is the this is Tut Tut, looks like rain. Probably gonna be really awesome, I think, when it's finished. I hope anyways, because if it's not, I'm gonna have one really ugly cup. So, there we go. I'm not totally done with this. Probably gonna come back over here and add in a one or two little underglaze transfers, because it seems to be calling out for some sort of skull or warning sign, maybe a little corrosive. I'm not sure about that. But there you go. This is start to finish application of my lettering, which I was just using these very simple vinyl letters, little tool. Spelled it out, and then the application of my underglazes to make this be very loud, very kind of aggressive, almost maybe not totally aggressive yet. It's kind of pretty still. whiskey sipper or T-bone. So that is doing some fun things with clay. Go make some art. Go do something out of clay.